Aloha ohana. Today is Sunday, and today is Saturday, and I am noticing some things in the field. I'm noticing some things in the field, and I wanted to share some of what I'm noticing, because I believe that there are epiphenomena. There are things that move through the genome of humanity at certain times, or for certain fractal or genetic lines or groupings of people that are impersonal, but we experience it at a very personal level. And some of the things that I'm experiencing are fucking unprecedented in really beautiful ways, though challenging in certain really beautiful ways. And I imagine that some others may be experiencing similar things. And I want to know what you're experiencing right now. Feels like there's a lot of mana coming in. Feels like there's a lot of energy building right now. And depending on our frequency, whether our frequency is tilting towards fear or tilting towards love, we're going to experience that mana very differently, right? So some of the things that I've been experiencing are an unprecedented vividness of love as the guiding force in my life. Unprecedented. I'm in the most exquisite daily mystery school of love that I have ever encountered. And a beautiful part of this is also experiencing allies showing up in my field. My people are arriving, long-awaited allies who I've been looking for. They showing up. And we are vibing. I see a lot of polarity happening right now. I see a lot of polarity happening right now. And again, this polarity can be experienced tilting toward the frequency of fear, or tilting toward the frequency of love, or with an attitude of fear and doubt and negative projections onto what is being looked at, or into the chemistry and the attitude of, and the chemistry field of, and the perceptual lens of love, and the paths of redemption, and the creative solutions, and the can-do attitude that emerges and effervesces out of the attitude of love, right? And things are polarizing in a really rich way. And here we are, fam. Not only is it Purim, but it's also Holy Week. This is perhaps the holiest week in the Christian calendar. Ancestors upon ancestors upon ancestors for many of us have been celebrating in this cycle. And we're entering into this week of acknowledging and honoring this beautiful, innocent healer and teacher in the world who came bearing the good news of God, came bearing the beatitudes of faith. And he was crucified on a cross as a rebel. Not for what he had done, but for what was feared he might do. Not for what he'd actually done, but for what was feared he might do. For political reasons. This world teacher, this incarnation of the Christ, of the Godhead, who was expected to arrive as a military leader, because people were looking for a savior. They wanted to be saved. They wanted a sword, and he brought healing. They wanted a military commander, and he brought by thy faith thou art healed, woman. By thy faith. They wanted a violent rebellion that would overthrow their evil oppressors. And he came as what they had prophesied, and was instead a man who spent his time with whores and tax collectors, and spoke heretically, and broke all the rules of the Pharisees. And in so doing, enraged people who would watch him do a miracle and call it a heresy against the law. And so they had him killed. They crucified him. They didn't just take him out and bury him in a ditch. No, they tortured him. Now, they beat him mercilessly, mocked him. And this is what is venerated on Ash Wednesday, which is next Wednesday. And from my perspective, from my sort of mystical perspective, from my pan-mystical perspective, but deeply Christian mystical perspective as well, Christ knew what he was doing. Christ walked into that crucifixion, not because he wanted to be crucified, but because in order to avoid being crucified, he would have to say something that was not true. He would have to apologize for something he didn't do. And he refused. The powers who held the swords were demanding an apology for something he didn't do, an admission of guilt that he could not, by the light of truth, make. And knowing this, and knowing what the consequences would be for his body, he accepted his destiny according to the truth of his soul. And I'm pretty sure he didn't do that so that people would say his name for years to come. In fact, I know that I know that I know that I know that Jesus of Nazareth did not get on the cross so that people would chant his name. He got on the cross to embody and be the example of love. That no matter how much violence rears its ugliness, that truth and love prevail over all. And that no threat can ever take away your truth and love. And no violence to your body or being can take away your truth and love. It can be attacked. It can be hated and excoriated. You can be punished in many ways for it, but it can't be taken from you. You can only give it away. And Christ went on that cross and he opened a path from my perspective. I'm not a Christian. I'm a seeker of truth who has an intimate relationship with this being. And he went up there to crack open this whole notion of victimhood. He did not go up on the cross as a victim. He went on the cross in triumph. He went on the cross in triumph, and it didn't make it hurt any fucking less. It didn't make it hurt less. He felt everything that any one of us would have felt on that cross. Because he was human. Because human is not other than the Godhead, as he demonstrated and knew deeply and taught. So he felt every stab, every thorn, every nail, every mock. He felt, not personally for himself, though in his body I'm sure he felt those things. He felt them as a grief for those who spoke them. He felt the grief of humanity in the sickness that would come out of people. He felt the compassion that he could not escape. And this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. You may have a different story, but I think it's a valuable and valid story to be reflecting upon right now in these times. I think it's a valid and valuable story to be deeply considering as a core archetype of humanity, the archetype of the scapegoat, the archetype of crucifixion. Jesus of Nazareth was neither the first nor the last motherfucker to get crucified, fam. And crucifixion happens in all kinds of ways, because there are many ways to hurt someone. But despite all that's been done in his name, and despite the tragic ways that his message was delivered by people who were using it for their own agendas and distorting it along the way, they unknowingly planted the seeds of the story of our collective redemption across the world, thinking they were entrapping it. But those seeds are now planted in many, many, many beings. And we're facing some pivotal stuff as a species, and I believe every one of us, coming back to my original theme here, is experiencing right now some form of ego death. Some form of something has experienced this form of ego death over the last year. And I believe there's a ripening in this moment as we approach this holy celebration of not only the crucifixion, but the descent into hell for 3 days. And then the resurrection of the eternal Christ, unbound by time or space. And that, my friends, is the part of the story feels like we're coming to. Some of us who are living that same archetype as a different story. Same archetype, different story. It's a core theme. And that anybody is going through this, that so many are likely going through this right now, is a thematic move across the genome. Because in my version of the story, there are no heroes in this next chapter. There's no hero that's going to come and save everybody. It's us. We are here to save ourselves. Not even God can save us from ourselves. Only we can do that. There are people who are going to show up with just the right medicine, just the right energy, just the right ideas, just the right resources. We're going to keep showing up in the right place at the right time more and more as we learn to trust ourselves more and more, as we release the old identity that has been just stripped over the last year or two. Those of us who have been through such a stripping. And if you haven't, I don't envy you the journey, but I will celebrate you on the other side, and I'll walk you through whatever part of it you need support with. Because this is why we're here. This is why my rebirth container has been planted right here at this time. Because we're cleansing, and I'm on day 6 of my cleanse. That's why I look a little gaunt to me, especially in the candlelight too. But we're in this moment right now where we're emptying out completely. And we're gonna clear some deep, old, ancient stuff from out of our bodies, out of our emotional bodies, out of our hearts, out of our minds, out of our DNA. And we're gonna be reborn in a very practical way. A whole bunch of habits are being reborn. And it doesn't mean we're gonna walk out of here all perfect and saintly in the weird, like, Christian sense. We're gonna walk out of here human, but more vividly alive, more clear, more open, more deeply listening, and more in service of love. Aloha e pueo. Greetings, beautiful one. We just had a visitation by a gorgeous owl, barn owl. We may hear her screech. This is what I'm seeing. This is the story I'm telling myself about it. This doesn't have to be your story, but I hope that my story about what's going on for me is tingling your story, and how you're weaving the story of what's going on for you, and how you're participating in that story, what you're authoring when the pen is in your hand, and what you're willing to respond to with creative love or with fear, and learning the difference of outcomes when these two intents are coming along. I honor you and your sovereign right to choose the story that you tell yourself and live inside of and respond to from day to day. I'm just offering this story because I have to. Because it's the truth of my heart today. Because I was called to do that by some inner guidance. And I don't know if I'll ever even post this video, but somebody will see it someday, at the very least. Because this is my truth today, and it touches me deeply. And I want to be an ally to our resurrection. I live only that we collectively may die into the next incarnation of our community and our family, our one human family, that we may surrender the things we know don't work and find creative ways to carefully deconstruct the violent systems that are keeping humanity in thrall. I know that this is our kuleana. If we are here, if you're listening to this, I know this is your kuleana. You have a part to play in restoring justice in the world and in restoring our beautiful planet and our communities and our families so that this world can be a safe place for all of our children. A safe and healthy and loving environment for all of the earth's children. Our children. Not mine, ours. I know this to be true. And I don't question this knowing at all. It is unquestionable because it's not a thought I thought. It's a feeling that rumbles from deep inside of my being that spurts out as these words, and I don't even know what I'm gonna say next. But I agree with everything I'm saying as I say it. So what does it mean to mourn and to look deeply into the nature of crucifixion? What part we've played in crucifixions, and how we as a humanity would like to end this cycle of scapegoating, of placing blame on someone for problems that they did not create, and rallying people to violence to harm them. And how can we allow this to be our path to redemption, not our path to hell? Whatever part we've played, this is our path to redemption. But redemption is hard won. It's not easy. You can't pay for it. You can't buy it. No amount of money will get you that. No amount of friends, no amount of followers. There's no amount of stuff that can really bring the sweet nectar of reconciliation with life, with your own past, and with the beloved community that you have impacted. It cannot be faked. Nobody can do it for you. But it is right here, available to you now in your life. There is no other time that it will be more available to you. Because not even God can save you from yourself. Not even God can save me from me. But in every moment, God is reaching out a hand and inviting me. He's giving me a way in every moment to the more blessed path. She is inviting me in every moment to the path of compassion, to the path of gentleness, to the path of peace, to the path of beauty and love. He is inviting us to the path of justice, integrity, honor, provision, guardianship. Always. Every moment is an opportunity for this destiny to unfold, or for that fate to unfold, where we follow a different leadership. We don't march to the drum that our Divine Mother and Father are beating, and the tune that they're humming. We march to the chaos of our own fear. We march to the thumping drums of rallying blame at people and slinging hatred and trying to fix our own lives by attacking others. That is what is so across the world, if we're willing to look and see. And it's happening inside of each one of us somewhere. I am not immune. I do not claim immunity to this disease, but it is a disease across humanity. It's systemic. And it is destroying us slowly, but faster and faster, fam. It ain't slowing down. So in the name of this celebration of the journey of Christ, in the name of this rebirth journey that I'm on, and that I am so grateful to be shepherding a group of incredible brothers and sisters through, I am going to host a Ash Wednesday homily and a space for us to gather and grieve and to celebrate the power of such courage to walk into a crucifixion with one's heart open. And we can anticipate together the power and the beauty of the journey of death, the complete one from which we shall rise collectively together, not waiting for that guy to pop off and do the thing. You that motherfucker. You that motherfucker. No, you that motherfucker. We that motherfucker. We that fucking exquisite hive that is gonna swarm all over this motherfucking world with love. With love. With innovation. With a sweet communion and a nectar of harmony and beauty. Walking the beauty way. And infiltrating every sector of society with a virus of regenerative love that is going to transform every system within which we operate today in a relatively dramatic and, dare I even say, delightful way. It's a tragic comedy, fam. It's like maybe even like a NC-17, like super sexy tragic comedy. Yeah. So this is what's coming through tonight. And it came through exactly when it was meant to, in the precise way that it was ordained. However imperfectly, whatever I may have forgotten to say, that I might have hoped I would. And I hope that some part of this has been received. And I hope that you'll consider joining me, as I will likely be streaming this live for Ash Wednesday homily, for a celebration of these high holy days in the spirit of hope, in the spirit of communion, in the spirit of deep honesty and self-reflection, and in the spirit of reconciliation and peace. May peace be with us, within us, and overflowing through us into every place that we walk. May love guide us, guard us. And gush from us everywhere we go. And may truth light our way and emanate, radiate effervesce from our being wherever our attention falls. May our attention bear blessing wherever it falls. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. Let's go, team. Let's go.